Hello everyone, I am Sunil Kumar from the Taxmann's Advisory and Research Support Services with the project lead of Taxmann's Advisory Project, Poonam Harjani. So in this today's live Q&A session, we would be deliberating about the recent guidelines issued by the CBIC in view of the directions given by the Supreme Court in case of Philco trade, whereby the Supreme Court has directed the GSTN to open the portal, the GSTN portal, for 2 months and allowing all the taxpayers to either file the TRAN-1 or TRAN-2 or accordingly revise wherever you have made the mistakes. So if we see the brief history of this transition issue, then one can note that in April 2018, the CBIC themselves recognized that there is a need to allow taxpayers to either file the forms again or revise them where they have made the mistakes, and therefore they have formed a specific committee called as IT grievance cell. And thereafter also, we have seen multiple cases whereby the taxpayers approach to the high courts that still the matter are not getting resolved. And one of the famous cases, if you recall, was of the Delhi High Court in case of brand equity, where the High Court held that this transitional credit is a vested right under Article 300 capital A of the Constitution. And the timelines which are given under the CGST rules, which was 27th of December 2017, the last date of filing TRAN-1, it is per se ultra virus because you cannot take away the vested rights through rules. And the High Court held that the general limitation period as per the Limitation Act would apply, and taxpayers can avail the facility to claim the credit. We all were aware that the government will challenge this order before the Supreme Court, and it happened. And now we have this Supreme Court's judgment, Philco's case, whereby the judiciary, the apex court, has recognized and felt that there is a need to allow the credits, because there were so many cases of a similar nature whereby the taxpayers faced that there were glitches on the portal and the rules are not aptly drafted and therefore being again and again challenged. So they have given the one more opportunity to all the taxpayers in the country to file or revise their transitional forms. So the first question that arises is that what are the directions which the Supreme Court has given? If I'll brief these directions, the Supreme Court said that this portal, the opening of the portal, the opportunity would be available to all taxpayers. The GSTN has to ensure that during this period, there would be no glitch on the GSTN portal. A very important point, the apex court has specifically directed that the GST authorities should settle the issues within the period of 90 days from the end of this 2 months period. And the last date, if you compute, it would be 28th of February 2023, meaning thereby within this period, the authorities has to determine that whether the claim is available to you or not, which you will file with this new opportunity, under this new opportunity. Once they'll verify the authenticity of the credit which you have made through these forms, they'll pass an order and accordingly your amount will be credited to the electronic credit ledger. Therefore, if you see the original transition period 2017 vis-a-vis this one, earlier you were supposed to file a transitional form TRAN-1 or TRAN-2, and based on that form your amount was getting credited in your electronic credit ledger. But this time this would not happen. You will be filing a form along with an annexure whereby you will be making providing certain information to the authorities. They will verify your credit And once they satisfied, after giving you the reasonable opportunity of being heard, they'll pass an order, and post that your amount would be credited to the electronic credit ledger. So these are general directions which are given by the Supreme Court to the GSTN as well as the government. Based on this, the government has issued detailed guidelines whereby they have set the detailed procedure how you can claim the credit. So they said that you would be filing a form TRAN-1 or TRAN-2 on GSTN portal online, and you would also be filling a manual form called as Annexure A, which they have attached with this circular or the guidelines which they have issued. The Annexure A you would have to fill manually and would require to be uploaded along with TRAN-1 online in a PDF form. Few important points that you have to file a consolidated TRAN-2, TRAN-3, the credit if you're claiming on the CTT based document, that you have to upload in PDF form, meaning thereby there would not be any separate functionality for it. And once you submit it, post that you would not be able to make any sort of editing into it. They have specifically highlighted that this is a one-time opportunity and it cannot be given again. Post filing the application, you have to submit the physical copies of the TRAN-1, TRAN-2, the copy of Annexure A, TRAN-3, and whatever document that are needed to substantiate your claim to the GST authorities within 7 days. After verifying your credit, as I said you earlier, they'll pass an order, and based on that order, they'll determine whether you are entitled to transition this credit under the GST regime or not, and post that your amount would be credited to the electronic credit ledger. There are few specific scenarios which the guidelines have highlighted, in which you would not be able to, file TRAN-1, or you would not be able to make your claim of credit using this special dispensation period. The first is that if you have received the forms from under the CST regime, C form, S form, H form, etc., after 27th December 2017, which was the last date of filing the TRAN-1. If you are receiving any forms after this date, then for that you have to make a proportionate reversal of your credit under transitional forms. For that you cannot avail the credit. We'll be discussing and deliberating this issue. Poonam would be highlighting this in detail at a later part of our presentation. The second point, which they said that if you have filed the TRAN-1 and authorities has rejected it, you cannot again file TRAN-1. Meaning thereby, you have to go for an appropriate remedy under GST law, which may be an appellate authority or maybe a writ route in terms of the constitutional provisions. If your case is adjudicating or appeals are pending, then again you cannot file TRAN-1 again by claiming the credit. For the last 2 points, this would be applicable when you have already filed the TRAN-1. So if you have claimed through 3B, they have not discussed anything about it in these guidelines. We'll be deliberating again the same at a later point of our presentation, that if you have failed to file TRAN-1 or you have incorrectly filed the TRAN-1, but at a later stage, maybe through Supreme Court, High Court's direction, or maybe voluntarily you have claimed the credit in GSTR 3B, then should you be required to follow these guidelines for again filing the TRAN-1 or not? We'll discuss that. A brief of few important points that you have to take care of while filing this form. These are the general points which are given under the transitional provisions. If I'll summarize all these points, the single, the approach should be that to analyze what credit I can carry forward to the GST regime through this dispensation period is that whatever credit which was available to you under the transitional provisions, that credit only you can carry forward to the GST regime. Therefore, you have to revisit all the provisions which are there under the transition provisions, and while making the claim, make sure that I'm compliant with these provisions. For example, if you have booked the capital goods after 1st July, which you have purchased in the excise or a VAT regime, that credit you cannot claim because there was no time period allowed for the capital goods, which were in transit. If it is a case of inputs, then make sure that this was booked in the books of accounts or stock and entry was made in your stock ledgers before 30th July, because 30 days was allowed for the inputs, right? So there were just certain general provisions that you have to taken care of while determining the final eligibility of the credit. So the transitional provisions must be referred while determining your final quantum amount to be carried forward under the GST. Now, I'll be taking few of the important and contentious issues relating to this special, opportunity that the Apex Court has given. And I request Poonam to, give her insights on these points. Poonam, the first question which is there is that, is this facility available to all the taxpayers in the country, or is it specifically to certain specific taxpayers? Why I'm asking this question, because if we read the Supreme Court's directions, there they said that specifically, even if your case is of a where High Court has passed the order, or if your case is pending before the IT grievance cell, etc. So is this facility available for all the taxpayers, or is it available for these two types of taxpayers?
Thanks for the question, Sunil. And before I go on to answer that, I'm happy to see a large attendance in today's session. I appreciate all the participants who have made time to be here at a short notice. So I want to begin with acknowledging each one of you. Okay, so coming back to the question Sunil raised, actually, when we look at the Supreme Court order on the face of it, one kind of concern that comes up is that only eligible in those cases where the matter was either pending before the High Court earlier, or the matter was with the IT grievance cell, because these are the two categories highlighted in the paragraph of the Supreme Court order. The answer to begin with is that the facility, as per the CBIC circular, is clearly available to each and every registered person. The circular says that any aggrieved person can file or revise their TRAN-1, TRAN-2 forms. So there is no particular mention anywhere in the circular which restricts the right of any particular registered person to file a revised TRAN-1 form or a fresh form. There are situations in which transitional credits cannot be claimed, but there is no restriction on any category of persons. The other aspect that is relevant to be noticed is that paragraph 4.7 of the circular actually goes on to highlight a couple of situations where a registered person need not file the TRAN-1 forms, which is where the registered person has already successfully filed the forms and does not need to revise them. So that also indicates that this facility is not restricted to any person. Also, when it comes to filing the details, the documents mentioned in the circular, nowhere it's mentioned that, give us the details of where was your matter pending, whether it was a Supreme Court, whether it is a litigation matter before or an IT grievance related matter pending. So nothing of that sort is also mentioned in the circular. So clearly, in our view, this facility is eligible now available as a one-time opportunity to every registered person.
Yeah, true. Thanks for the response. The another important and contentious issue is that the circular has, inserted a new condition relating to claiming the credit, that is in respect of specific form under these CST rules, form C, S, H, I, etc. So if we see the, state specific GST acts, and if we read the transition provision there, they say that if you are not able to substantiate your forms to the respective state authorities within the time limit permitted under Rule 12 of the erstwhile Central Sales Tax Rules, which was 90 days plus if there is an extension, then you would not be able to carry forward your claim under the GST regime. The proviso of it provides that if you are not able to claim it, then you can file a refund, right? Now, this guidelines issued by the CBIC has provided that if you have received any form after 27th December 2017, for that, shortly you have to reverse your credits. You cannot claim the proportionate credit. So how do you see that this condition? Firstly, is it valid or not? Second, is it what approach we should be taking care of it while claiming the credit if this issue comes in my specific case? And will it having will it be inviting a further litigation or not relating to the concerned taxpayers or not? Poonam, over to you.
Thanks, Sunil. So yes, absolutely. While the transitional provisions did restrict the availment of transitional credit if the forms are not procured within the prescribed time limit. Now, another condition that the forms must have been received prior to the original due date of filing of the transitional claims, that to my mind is definitely not supported by any legal provisions, not surely not under the parent legislation, nor under the delegated legislation. So a simple statement in a circular to my mind is litigative. Definitely the authorities in the first go, if there is, the intention comes out clear in the circular that if there are any transitional credit claims with respect to which the forms have been received after 27th of December 2017, the authorities already have been challenging and are likely to be after the specific mention in the circular will be challenging this. But to my in my view, this should be successfully defendable because there is no particular restriction coming under the law per se.
True. And I think based on the quantum involved, taxpayers should appropriately, take a strategy that how should they carry forward it or not, right? Yeah. Another important question is that so we have noticed the litigation on various aspects of transitional provisions. One of the very important litigation was relating to section 140 subsection 3 clause 4. So if you are a depot, trader, etc., then you were entitled to claim the excise duty credit in your CGST balance if you have a duty paying document. One of the conditions for claiming the credit was that this credit should not be of the invoices which were older than 12 months. This condition of 12 months, which was given under section 140 subsection 3 clause 4, was challenged before the various high courts, and we have the judgment of Gujarat High Court which held it as unconstitutional. On the other hand, we have a judgment of Bombay High Court which was saying that it is a valid provision and it is within the four corners of the Constitution. The question now arises, which is very important for all the manufacturers having trading units, depots, etc., that how should they approach this opportunity vis-a-vis availability of this contradictory judgment, because the apex court has not given its final verdict on this issue. How should they approach?
Absolutely. One of the most critical aspects coming out of the CBIC circular as well as the FILCO trade judgment is that is this now an opportunity for registered taxpayers who had left out the credits which were older than 1 year based on duty paying documents. Like you rightly pointed out, Sunil, Bombay High Court in JCB India said that the condition is valid. Such a condition has existed prior also in law, so there's no problem continuing with that kind of a condition under for transitional credit purposes. On the other hand, Gujarat High Court categorically found the restriction as unconstitutional. Now, with the FILCO trades matter itself having gone up to Supreme Court, and in that very matter, the Supreme Court has issued the current directions that we are discussing today. Now, one thing that is still not clear in public domain, which will emerge as a clarity in coming days, is whether the Supreme Court's matter for FILCO trades has come to a final conclusion, or is it still being pursued on the matter of the validity of that 1 year condition. Now, if we take both the scenarios, let's assume the matter is still under litigation. So the Supreme Court can go in favor or against. Now, if that be the case, then the opportunity surely is available for the taxpayers. They should go ahead and at least make the claims. If the claim is, and the authorities are anyways going to adjudicate within 90 days, and if they have any objections, they will come up with their objections. And if they clear the claims, the matter is anyway sorted for the taxpayers. So one approach is that if the matter goes right away, and in FILCO's trade case itself before the Supreme Court, our take on and advice to the business owners is that if there are older credits, the claim can be lodged, and to be on the safer side, a specific intimation with respect to such claims can also be filed, specifying that the position is being taken based on the matter still being open. The other possibility is that the matter is not further pursued by FILCO trades, and Supreme Court right now does not intervene in this matter. If that happens, even in that case, if we see that we would be sitting in a situation where there is a positive ruling of the Gujarat High Court and a negative ruling by the Bombay High Court. So even with the two contrary rulings being in existence, it is all the more prudent for where there are large credits dropped out earlier. This is an opportunity to lodge those claims, and if the litigation arises, then the litigation costs work out lesser than the stakes involved. Our recommendation is that the matter is worth litigation, and the possibility that the Supreme Court can waive off this condition, the way the liberal approach is being adopted of late with respect to transactional credits, is so no downside to making those claims.
Yeah. One more interesting point which I would like to highlight on adding to your comments is that this guidelines per se is taking note of the last date of filing the TRAN-1 and TRAN-2, which was 27th of December. And these judgments came at a later date. Now, they would be arguing that because this contentious issue which you are arguing, that one court said that milega, the other court said nahi milega, it came at a later stage. So this was not eligible to you. So this point of argument we would be seeing in the, from the government side, if we making the claim. Nonetheless, moving forward, the another important question is, most of the exporters who were claiming the refund of Senate Credit Rule 5 of the service tax rules, as per the procedure, they were supposed to reverse this embedded credit before making the refund application to the concerned service tax authorities. Now, in cases where the authorities have rejected the refund amount to them, obviously they would be again entitled to reclaim the embedded credit which they had reversed earlier. The question is, if it is the case, can now they avail this opportunity of TRAN-1 and TRAN-2 for filing the claim of such embedded credit and to get it transitioned under the GST regime?
No, so this is a case where the credits were recognized in the returns, in the books to begin with, and by virtue of a procedure given under the earlier laws, the credit was required to be reversed at the time of filing of refund claims. So this is a situation, if in such a situation, at post facto, if refund is being rejected, the credit reversed needs to be reinstated. And it's not a case of fresh arising of any credit claims. So to that extent, in my view, it should be a valid claim of service tax transitional credit, or for that matter, all input tax and credit transitional credits. However, the only challenge that I can foresee is that the authorities would be arguing that those credits were not being reflected in the last returns filed by the taxpayers. But that's not to the fault of the taxpayers. It is just by virtue of the procedure that the law only had prescribed. So the substantive right of claiming transitional credit cannot be taken away from the taxpayers merely because of the procedure that was given by the law itself. So to my extent, in this case, this is a kind of fit case for us to explore transitional credit claims.
Right, and I think the same goes for the duty drawback also, where one has availed the lower rate of drawback, whereby you were not entitled to claim this embedded credit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The another very important point, which would be having a large impact on almost all the taxpayers, relating to payment of service tax under reverse charge under GST regime. So you may be having an audit query, you may have forgot till 36 before filing your TRAN-1, or even if you have missed it, but you are paying that service tax under GST regime. And one of the participants have also asked this question. Now the question is, if I have paid this amount, I don't have any option to claim this credit, be it transitional provisions or otherwise also. Now, first question is, can I avail the opportunity of this special dispensation scheme opportunity given by the Supreme Court, or should I explore the other option, for example, filing a refund to the GST authorities, or sorry, the service authorities? What are your views, Poonam?
So this is slightly a different scenario than the one that we discussed just now, the service tax refunds getting rejected and the credits getting reinstated. Here, this is a situation where the claim of the credit itself arises upon, so by the virtue of the provisions under the erstwhile laws, the credit claim was itself available upon firstly discharging of the reverse charge liability. So the event which was triggering the eligibility to claim credit is happening post the implementation of GST in this case. And therefore, the authorities dismissing such credits as transitional credit, because transitional credit is something that has to exist as a credit prior to 1st of July 2017 and has to be eligible as a credit go under GST regime. Something that has arisen as an entitlement post implementation of GST, technically, in my view, is not a transitional credit situation. And therefore, the authorities may successfully argue that here transitional credit claims will not be allowed. Having said that, there are multiple tribunal rulings at this stage where taxes of the erstwhile laws have been paid post GST. So once the tax has been paid, courts have recognized that those were valid credit claims, that those would have been valid credit claims under the erstwhile laws. And therefore, in absence of any procedure being available for the credit claims to be given, the refunds have been allowed. That has been allowed for service tax, for so in that kind of even for the CVD claims, the credit refund has been allowed. So that seems to be a more appropriate methodology in such cases, that instead of going on for revising TRAN-1 for that, refund claim is a more appropriate approach.
Yes. I think the same also goes for the countervailing duty and special additional duty which you have paid under the GST regime in specific scenarios. For example, if you are debonding from the specified units, or if you are not able to meet the export obligation under EPCG or advance authorization, you were supposed to pay because there was an issue. Should we pay GST or CBD? If you have paid CBD, then following the same analogy that Poonam just explained, you can also file the refund for the CBD and SAT instead of filing through TRAN-1. So we are,
for the purposes of CBD, also the tribunal rulings are favorable.
Yeah, true. So we are, almost done with the time. I'm not taking further more important points which we have noted. I'm just taking few of the participants' questions and then we'll be quickly closing the session. So first question we have answered relating to the reverse charge treatment. Should we carry forward it or should we claim the refund? The another question is, as on 30th June 2017, I had available service tax credit of 55 lakh rupees in my service tax return. In TRAN-1, I have 25 lakh was claimed by mistake instead of 50 lakh. And same way is transferred to the GST. And I utilized the same also. Now I want to make the remaining 30 lakh, or what I have to do? I had taken this matter before the Hon'ble High Court and judgment is in my favor. Okay. Whether I can file TRAN-1 now by submitting an amount of 30 lakh, your valuable guidance is highly appreciated. Poonam, would you like to answer it?
Yeah, sure. So this is one of the fit case of claiming transitional credit. So you have an opportunity now available. You go ahead and revise your TRAN-1. Depending on how the facility fields open up, you may need to mention the total amount originally claimed plus now the fresh claim being made. It would depend on how the fields will ask you for the information. And if there is still any lack of clarity, when you are making claims, and it's possible that you may not be clear that what information needs to be put in the relevant fields, it's best to also in parallel mention what claims are you making in a letter and file it with your jurisdictional authorities.
True. So yeah, to just sum it up, because you are revising it, I believe that you have to make a claim of 50 lakh, whereby you would be, when the assessment would be there, so you would be highlighting that 30 lakh is an amount which we have forgot to claim. So in that case, you would be, because this would be a case of revision, not filing a fresh application. Right. The another question is quite procedural, so I'm leaving it as of now. This is again an important question. What about the cess component? Education cess, Krishi Kalyan cess. Should we claim the credit of these cesses under this special dispensation scheme, or should we go for the refund? Poonam?
Well, for the cesses, the government stand is clear. These are not transferable. So your claim under transitional credits are likely to not fall through. So it's better to go in for refunds for those cases.
Okay. While filing TRAN-1 details with regard to TRAN-2, HSN code has been disclosed. We had found some of the HSN codes entered wrongly. Can this be rectified now? without amending TRAN-1 at the time of filing TRAN-2. I think you can amend it. There is no issue. If you feel that your claim is getting impacted, then you can avail this opportunity. I don't feel any issue into it. You can do this. If the assessee has claimed TRAN-1 credit in 3B, this is a very good question. We wanted to cover it because this is quite contentious that we, want to request even CBIC to issue a clarification, because there are many scenarios where taxpayers have claimed the credit in 3B, maybe due to the verdict of a high court in a specific case, or maybe you voluntarily have claimed. And there can be scenarios where the authorities have picked your case, maybe during audit, adjudication, and your case may be before the appellate authorities also. Then should you go for this special suspension scheme or not? It's a matter that needs to be clarified by the CBIC first. But specific to this case, you have a high court order, and the question is, should you go for this special scheme or not? Our comment would be that, you have to see where. So first of all, you have to check whether the case were being, filed by the further before the Supreme Court by the government or not. If was it challenged or not. If it was challenged and that matter was part of this Philco's order, which the Supreme Court has disposed of now, then in that case you have to revise it, right? But if you only have a High Court order which was not challenged by the government before the Supreme Court, in that case you can avoid it because you have a High Court order which was not challenged by the government before the Supreme Court. So this answer that we have claimed in 3B, should we explore this opportunity to revise our forms or not, would depend on the facts, and each facts would be different. So a general statement cannot be made, and fact specific scenario would need to be seen before commenting anything onto it. But this is quite a contentious issue, and we again, I'm saying that it is requested that the CBIC should come up to clarify that how these taxpayers should approach this opportunity. Can a trader claims ITC for excise duty paid? Yes, he can claim under section 140 subsection 3, provided you are satisfying the conditions of this provision. So with this, we thank to all the participants for joining with this large number in such short intimation. And if you have any other query relating to filing of TRAN-1, TRAN-2, how to file, whatever the procedure issue you have, you can write to us at connect@taxmann.com, and we would be happy to assist you. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining today's session.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a great day ahead.